Ben. Shouldn't this be Glory? Apparently they're two separate people. There you go. Those comments have to stop. They're two separate people. I mean, Ben himself is nothing, isn't he? The only interesting thing about him is the fact that he's Glory. Or shares a body with Glory. That's the one thing that he's there for. You know? He's like, hello, I'm Ben. I have abs. I'm also secretly the big bad. I can transform into Glory. We're sharing a body with the big bad. That's his character. Like, please date me, Buffy. Oh no, I'm boring. Maybe don't do that. You know, it's an interesting position to put a character in. Like, he shares his body with this god, and that's really frustrating and stuff. I wish they kind of spent more time on the Ben side of things. But there's just not much there to him, really. But for where he stands in the overall plot, I don't actively hate him or dislike him. I think the concept of him is interesting, but there's not that much to him, is there? So I think E would have to be how it is. Dawn, I was wondering when we'd get to Dawn. I feel like she should have been a bit earlier on. I like Dawn a lot. Again, have a moment with her. Kicking Buffy out of her own house that she's paying for and you're not. Bit of a low moment, Dawn. You know, I can't blame her for being a bratty teenager when she first appears, because we were all bratty teenagers once upon a time. That's just how they are. You know, it's unrealistic to have her be an absolute delight, I think, in her teenage years. Especially when she's technically only like 6 months old. She's actually doing remarkable jobs. And, you know, she just randomly starts stealing shit for attention. That wasn't ideal, but you can kind of see that cry for help, and her reaction to Joyce's death is awful, and then she loses her sister straight after that. You know, she gets a lot of shit thrown at her very quickly, being the key and everything, and the fact that she bounces back from that all, I think, is quite something. And where she ends up, and she grows a lot. I wish they'd really lent into, I think, the person I feel like she became at the end of season 6 when she was like fighting the demons off and stuff. I feel like they never really followed through on the potential that gave her, but she did have some nice moments in season 7 as well, and ended her off in a good place. But is she B material? Or is she C? If she's C, she's very high C. But I think I'll leave her in B. I think I like her enough to justify that. You know, she's not like my absolute favourite of like the main characters in the show, but I think she gets some good stuff. I do think she's overhated. General Gregor. Okay. I'm going to be honest. No fucking clue who this is. Is this one of the night people in season 5? It doesn't matter, because if I don't know who you are, you're going there. So please inform me. I'm assuming so, because it feels like we're in like the season 5 character portions, so I'm guessing it's one of like the Knights or something. Either way, Glory. There we go. Oh, look at you two together. Look, they're sharing the same space yet again. Oh my god. Right. I mean, I really enjoy Glory. I actually think, for me, Glory's aged even better, having like rewatched a bit of season 5 and stuff. I think I was like, yeah, she's okay. I don't like her as much as a lot of people seem to as a big bad, but I think she's grown on me a lot, and she's definitely... I think after I'm Jealous, she's definitely my favourite of the big bads we got. Probably just in Buffyverse in general, not just Buffy. But, yeah, she's really fun. I think she's very cool. Again, I don't know if I put her in A, though. I think B is probably where it would stand, I would say. So again, I think on paper, like the mayor, I think on paper she could be a bit boring, but it's the performance that really brings it to life. And I don't know if I love her on the same level that I love Angel and Giles and co. I'm going to put her in B, but I will say I think, like with Dawn, she'd be nearer the front of B if I were to like swap them around a bit. I definitely think as a big bad, you know, her and the mayor, they may be on the same tier here, but I do think Glory's better. Okay, next. Halfrick. I mean, yeah, you're fine. Or Cecily, if you prefer. You know, she's just there to be like kind of the Ravania's friend, isn't she? She's just kind of there. Again, the most exciting thing she does die. Because I think tying her back to Spike and William and everything would have been really interesting, but it's just a throwaway line and then she dies. So I don't think it really matters. I'm just going to put her in E. I don't actively dislike her, or I don't not care about her. So I just think that's probably where she needs to lie. Jinx. I really enjoy Jinx. He's quite fun. Definitely the best of Glory's minions, and that's why he gets all the kind of screen time out of all of them. So he's a lot of fun. And there's a bit more kind of charisma to his performance, I think, and a bit more interesting thing to. Of like the goons of the big bad, I do think Jinx is probably the strongest. With the exception of like Spike and Drusilla to Angelus and stuff in season 2, of course. So yeah, but I still think, run of the mill, probably just C tier is fine for him. Warren. Need I say more? Are we really going to be that surprised when I put him there where he belongs? Absolute trash. Get in the bin. Yeah. I'm not about this life. I'm not about Warren in the slightest. We know this. Absolute trash bag human being. The worst person to have ever not existed. But the thing with the character is people like him do exist. So in a way he does exist. But yeah, Warren is just... You deserve to be at the very last there. Just not a fan. Not a fan at all. But we're not supposed to be. I think the actor does an incredible job at being so unbelievably unlikable. I do feel like as well... I feel like the show struggled to let him go a bit. In season 7, it felt like they kept bringing him back with like the first face and everything. Just a bit too much for my liking. Left a bad taste in my mouth. Him being like the first appearance to Andrew all the time, like just go away. And then also having him be in like The Killer in Me, and like Willow looking like him and stuff. I think that's a more interesting idea than him just being the first all the time. But I do feel like Buffy kind of, as a show, got a bit too obsessed with him. I don't understand why. But leader of the trio, and he's easily the most despicable person of all. Brutal last death, that's quite a way to go. I'm not sure I'd wish that on anyone, but if I were to wish it on anyone, probably Warren. So unlike most people in this tier, with the exception of probably Forrest and Parker, and Quentin, I suppose, he's here because I can't stand him and he's awful, but we're not supposed to like them, as opposed to the others who I think have the bigger crime of just being outright boring. Someone who isn't outright boring, my friends. Hello there. Right up there you go. Fred, obviously S tier. It's probably not a surprise. I think out of everyone they could predict, Willow and Fred would be there. And that's true, because she's my favourite character in Angel. Is Illyria a character here? Is it a separate thing? I don't think it is. Oh, there is a different Spike though. That's odd that they've given us like Cordelia as Jasmine. And they've given us like Spike with a soul and stuff like that. But they haven't given us Illyria. I feel like that's a big omission, but there we go. If I were to rank Illyria, I'd probably put her in like B or C, to be honest. No, I'd put her in B. She's more interesting than just run-of-the-mill. I'd put her in B, I think. But Fred, love her. Wish he hadn't died. Absolute cinnamon roll. I loved the strength that they ended up showing that the character had. I loved, in particular, I loved her relationship with Wesley. Her and Gunn were fine together, but I much preferred her and Wesley. Bouncing back from an awful mental situation that she must have been in when we first met her, with like 5 years on Pilio and everything. The fact that she could recover from that and flourish the way she did is hugely commendable. And she really kind of grows and comes into her own, finds her place in the group, starts standing up for herself and what she believes in, forms these really deep bonds with people to the extent that they fight for her the way they do in A Hole in the World. Amy Acker is incredible in the part, and as Illyria as well. I think that shows even more so what a great actress she is. Fred has some wonderful moments like the Jasmine arc. She has like an episode to herself really, where she's doing her own little thing, because she's the one who's kind of seen through Jasmine's bullshit. Incredible display of how strong Fred is. And yeah, she's so sweet, but there's also so much strength and rigour to her, which I fell in love with her almost instantly. And that never stopped and never will stop. And what a brutal, awful fucking end to her, which I'm still very mixed on the idea of that happening. But it certainly did provide an excellent episode, regardless. Heartbreaking, but excellent. So yeah, Fred, shocking absolutely no one. I adore her so much. S tier indeed. Gavin, I'm afraid you're not S tier, my friend. I hate to break it to you. But I did enjoy what you brought to proceedings for the most part. Didn't he turn into like a zombie or something at the end? Or we got killed by a zombie? Either way, it was kind of a brutal way for him to go. But I'm going to put him in E, just because I feel like it was just... He had a similar relationship and offered a similar relationship with Lila to what Lila and Lindsay were, just not quite as interesting. So we didn't get that much of Gavin, but, you know, I don't dislike him, so we can go there. Grusalog. Oh, Gru. What do I do with you? I mean, I'd happily put you there, but I don't think you deserve that. Did I come round to him in the end? I can't remember. I definitely don't... He's definitely not my favourite. I think E is where he belongs. If this was just Season 2, after Season 2 of Angel, I think he would probably be an F. But, you know, they brought him back into it. I was very angry that they did that. But I think he kind of came into his senses, you know, about the whole Cordelia and Angel situation in the end. And I can't really remember if they did anything that I particularly liked with him when they brought him back into the show. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and just put him in E and say you're probably fine. But, you know, far from a favourite, and I'd have happily not had him in the show at all. But there you go. Lorne, my friend, you are going straight to S tier, my friend. In you get. There we go. Oh my god, another talented man gone far, far, far too soon in Mr. Andy Hallett. I'm so sad I didn't know who you were or who Glenn was when you were alive, because I'd have loved to have appreciated you while you were still with us. But what an incredible talent he is. If I'm honest, again, I think Lorne probably should be A, because for the most part he's just in the background and they don't do that much with him, because I guess they didn't know what to do with him, or you know, it was too costly to have him in makeup all the time. I don't know. But, you know, as soon as he's introduced in Judgment, he's just so striking and interesting and funny. But as we saw in some moments, absolutely can break your heart as well, like in the finale, where he's just completely broken down. You know, it's kind of a really awful, heartbreaking, sad arc that Lorne ends up going through, because he has all that joy kind of sucked out of him by the end, and you know, when he leaves in the final episode of Angel. But you know, again, it's just such a warm presence to him, I think, that I really always loved. Very interesting characters to look at, like visually and stuff, and I loved his backstory in Pylia, exploring that a bit. You know, his bond with like Angel and Fred, they were all lovely, and I really enjoyed those. Whenever he'd sing super high pitched to like knock enemies out, hilarious, never got old. And yeah, a sad arc that he goes through, but a really poignant, memorable one, I feel. And yeah, I think he was a very unique addition to Team Angel, and again, one I couldn't imagine the show without. He's just so much fun to have around. And yeah, there's just always a buzz around him, I think, that I really enjoy. And he's part of I think some of the most memorable moments of the show. A Hole in the World, when his face when he hears Fred singing and realises what's about to happen, fucking brutal. And also when he hears Wesley humming as he's holding Connor and he realises that Wesley's going to kidnap him, and they have that fight. That is... the air just leaves the room. Like, that's such a powerful moment. And that's something that they couldn't have done without Lorne's powers being established as they are, and the idea of him as a character. So great. A very unique kind of character, I think, in the Buffyverse. Just a shame he wasn't in Once More with Feeling, really. But yeah, really unique, really fun. Love Lorne so much. We've still got so many to go. I've just checked the recording time and I've been going for an hour and 46 minutes. This might have to be like a two-parter or something, because fucking hell, Liam, please. So yeah, I'm probably going to have to split this down. I wasn't expecting this to take as long as it did, but I didn't realise quite how many characters there were. Right, I really need to get on and rattle through them now. Next up is Merle. I mean, I liked Merle well enough. I was actually really sad when they killed him. I thought that was such a shame, because again, it's like a little side character. He was always a lot of fun, very charismatic. I thought the actor always gave a great performance. but compared to some others... Actually, you know what? I think D's a decent rank for him. I think I find more interest and I'd be more happy to watch him get screen time than most of these guys, to be honest. So I think that's fair. I have this sneaking suspicion like people are really going to hate me for putting Jonathan that low, but sorry. Silas, I feel like... I think this guy is like the big bad of like the pilot arc. I feel like I remember that at the end of season 2 of Angel. I think... Can't remember how I feel about him at the time. Now, I'd completely forgotten about his existence, so I'm just going to put him in F. Sorry. Oh, Virginia. Yes, this was Wesley's girlfriend for like 3 episodes, wasn't it? In season 2, I want to say. She was nice. I thought she was sweet. Again, they didn't end up doing much with her, but I get that she was like, whoa, this life of yours is not for me. We're breaking up. Bye. I think it's actually a more realistic way of any relationship in the Buffyverse going. But she didn't get that much to do, really, did she? So I think I'm going to have to put her in E. Andrew. Now, this is an interesting one. What a turnaround you had, my friend. Where should you go? B or C? B or C? B or C? No, I can't have him in the same rank as like Xander and stuff, I'm sorry. C will do. Run of the Mill, which, for a member of the trio, is fucking astounding that he even got that high. If this was after season 6 of Buffy, he'd be in F. But after season 7, he had a huge turnaround. I loved what they did with him in Buffy season 7. He got some great development, some real kind of remorse for his actions, and some real growth, kind of accepting what he did was wrong, and almost being like, oh, I deserve to die. I deserve to die in this final battle. And the fact that he doesn't, is telling about just the world isn't necessarily going to, take karma and stuff into account and like just desserts. That's not how it works, which I really enjoyed. And then seeing him pop up in Angel season 5 a couple of times was a really lovely surprise. And I actually found myself excited to see him, which I guess is testament to how much that character grew and changed in my eyes after, the whole trio nonsense. So yeah, I really enjoyed seeing him. I think the actor is really good at the role. And yeah, some really impressive growth in not much time to do it. I think they still successfully kind of redeemed him in my eyes. He was a lot of fun in the end. I can't believe I'm saying that, but there we go. I actually low-key think what they did with Andrew is one of my favourite things about season 7. So there you go. Clem, lovely Clem. Again, kind of a background guy, not that much to him. But he just seemed like a generally cool person, and I like the representation of like a demon who was just chill, and didn't really have that many enemies either way, and just kind of wanting to get by and live his life. So he was a lot of fun. I think D's probably a good place to put him actually. I think him and Merle feel very similar character-wise. I think they're kind of the equivalents of each other in either show. Clem's probably more successful than Merle, because I think he gets a bit more to do, but still a fun kind of side character that I did enjoy. Rack. So you were like the sorcery guy, right? Who got Amy and Willow on the whole dark magic-y stuff. I mean, I don't like you at all, and you kind of got what was coming to you, so I think you're probably going to have to go in F. Interesting kind of performance, but I think I preferred... I think the actor gets a better character playing the guy from Helpless. Connor. It was only a matter of time. Right, again, I think this is a very like Dawn-esque situation. I feel like Connor gets more hate than he deserves, I say. I think I'm going to put him in B. I want to actually put him in A, but he doesn't quite get there just because so much of season 4 is me going, ugh. If, I've talked about it a lot, I think Connor had the potential to be one of the most interesting characters in the Buffyverse, and they showed us that potential in a scene near the end of season 4 where he's talking to like an unconscious Cordelia. And I was like, why did you not explore that side of the character this entire fucking time? And they just didn't, because it was like an episode before the season ended, and then, memory loss. But then, his couple of appearances in season 5 were excellent, and that's the Connor he was meant to be, and he was really great, and I loved him. I just wish they'd spent more time leaning onto that side of the Angel and Connor dynamic rather than having them always be put against each other, which every show does in the world. So that was a huge shame. But I do think in the end Connor became a really decent character, I think. I thought Vincent gave a really good performance of what he was given most of the time. He was let down by the plot they gave him in season 4, but I don't think that's Vincent's fault at all. I don't think it's even Connor's fault, because it was just the unfortunate situation of Wesley kidnapping him and then Holtz taking him away and being raised by him and all of that. It was completely poisoned Connor's mind. And then the whole Cordelia mess was just so I'm glad they actually did. I'm sure they were aware of the reception to the character after season 4. So the fact they went, no, we're still going to bring him back and maybe do him some justice. They didn't just they could have easily just left him after season 4 with a full arc, but they didn't. They still brought him back and kind of continued it and gave it a really nice kind of epilogue, if you will. So I really enjoyed him a lot in season 5 as well. And near the end of season 4, there were just glimpses of him being so interesting. And he definitely would have been A if they had explored that more and sooner. So it's kind of a shame. Connor could have easily been A, but for me anyway. I know a lot of people justifiably don't like him because he does do some annoying things. And he likes jumping. He always jumps off things way too much. You're going to break your knees. Right, Holtz. That is not how I remember Holtz looking like. I suppose I remember him more looking quite old. Holtz. Where do you go, pal? One of the more successful villains in Angel, I think. He's one of the more interesting, big bads that the show gets. Not that the show has many like that. An interesting enough story. I like his past with, Angel and Darla, hunting them down, and then when he raises Connor as his own to turn him against Angel and everything. Fakes his own death to frame Angel. Well, not fakes his own death, he does die, but he, frames Angel for it. I quite liked all of that. So I think kind of C is probably fair enough for him, I would say. I don't think he quite has the charisma and the memorability of Glory or the Mayor. But definitely he would be quite high up on the C rank, I think. He's definitely one of my favourite villains that Angel has as a show. Justine. I mean, I feel like I was just kind of done with Justine by the end. I think I found her quite annoying, a bit hypocritical, and a bit meh. She probably could be D. The idea of her was interesting, but again, I feel like you just didn't need her there. I think it could have just been Holtz. I feel like the whole thing with him and Justine ended up not really going anywhere anyway, because he just abandoned her and went off with Connor. And then Wesley just kidnapped her and locked her in a cupboard for a bit, and then she was off. So yeah, I feel like it's just a character that didn't need to be there. I don't dislike her by any means, but just Linwood. This was one of the Wolfram and Hart bosses, wasn't it? Was this the guy who got his head cut off by Lila? It might have been you. I can't remember. Either way, I mean, I don't really care about you. I'll just put you in F. Sajon. I really enjoyed Sajon's performance. I thought the actor did a great job. What the character stood for and stuff I thought was interesting. A bit too easily defeated in the end when they brought him back in season 5. I definitely preferred him more in season 3. But I think I'm actually going to put him alongside Holtz, because they were kind of paired up for a bit, really, weren't they? I enjoyed him a lot. A surprisingly humorous villain considering what he was doing and everything. But I did enjoy him, so I think that's fair enough. Skip. I remember really liking Skip, and then you have the big twist and stuff. Not a huge fan of what he was saying about Jasmine predetermined everything. But I suppose you could just discount that. Really cool design to him as well. But again, in the long run, I don't think his one is really going to stand out to me, so I'm just going to put you in E. Moloch. I really want to put him in S. I really want to put him in S. It'd be so funny. I Robot You Jane is a great episode. I really enjoy it. I stand by it. And obviously he's the villain of that. I think he's got a cool... I love the design of his robot suit. I think it's really, really cool. I actually genuinely love it. If there's an action figure of it, I'd absolutely buy it. Give me a Lego Moloch, please. I don't know why your name is gold, but there we are. Obviously I can't really put him super high, because he is very one note and stuff. But again, he is in love with Willow, which is the most relatable, sensible thing I can think of doing. So he makes perfect sense to me. But I will just put him in D, because, generic robot villain in it for one episode. But I still put him above these guys. That feels so harsh, doesn't it? But sue me. Well, there's 2 Clems in this, so that's a shame. I feel like one of these Clems should probably be Illyria, but it's not. So I'm just going to leave you there. So we've done Clem. Don't want to do it again, Clem. Sorry about it. Amanda. Easily the most likeable potential, which is why she had to die, I guess, because we can't have any nice things when it comes to the potentials. But again, she didn't get that much to do. She's not like super interesting. You know, she played D&D and stuff. She seems sweet. But outside of like the episode that really explored that she was the potential, there wasn't much to her after that, and then she just died. And she's the potential who still was just fine with kicking Buffy out of her own house, so not going to be huge on either of them. But I do like her quite a bit. I feel like I actually do like her quite a lot. I think I'll put her in D. I think I'd like her more than Amy, for example. I'm tempted to put Amy down, actually. I feel like I've put her a bit too high. Have I? You know what, I'm going to put her down. Sorry, Amy. Spike. Soul. Okay. So, season 7 Spike then, I guess. Or William. Although it's not... Spike with his soul in season 7 isn't really William, is it? It's not like he's just reverted to who he used to be. I'm going to put Spike sold in A. Because at a base level, I'm going to enjoy Spike. I think Spike with a soul, for me, if I am viewing it as 2 separate characters, which I think is probably fair, especially in a tier list that's got Angel and Angela separately, they should definitely be ranked separately. I think Buffy season 7, Spike with the soul, would probably be B for me. Like, I think Spike is fine and redeemed and everything in season 7, but you know, I don't think he's like super interesting and stuff outside of the odd couple of episodes. He's just Spike, which at a base level is very enjoyable, which is why he'd probably be B. I put him up to A in this case because of Angel season 5, where he's a lot of fun and has some really cool stuff and some really heartfelt stuff in there, and a cool kind of new ending to his character. So that gets him to the A position, I think, for me. But definitely in terms of like the Spike that we first meet, and you know, seasons 2 to 6-ish of Buffy, that Spike I look on much more fondly, and he's like the Spike that I really think of when I think of the character. Not to shit on his development, because it was absolutely necessary after seeing Reds to give him that development. Otherwise he would just need to be gone from the show. But there we go. Caleb. I mean, Nathan Fillion gets instants and some instant points from me, but he was only around for 5 episodes. A lot of that build-up felt for not much in the end, because he was defeated very quickly. But Nathan Fillion, though, he had some cool moments. I mean, he squeezed one of Xander's eyes out, which is kind of a big deal. I don't know if he really stuck around long enough for me to put him in D, though, to be honest. But although Moloch was only in 1 episode, but he was in a very good episode, I think. I don't know, alongside Anne, maybe. I think if it wasn't Nathan Fillion, I'd find Caleb quite boring. So I'm going to go for E. Sorry, Nathan. Holden Webster. Okay, so I'm going to try not to get too angry at Holden, because this Holden Webster is the guy from Conversations with Dead People, isn't it? This is the guy that speaks to Buffy. That's some good stuff, but again, I suppose we don't know much of him outside that. So either way, I'm putting him in F. So sorry to this actor, because both characters in Buffyverse he plays would absolutely be an F. But the character he plays in Angel would be an F for fuck you, burn in hell. But I don't think his character's here, so there we go. Kennedy. I hate to do it, because she ends up with Willow. Hopefully they break up in the comics, I don't know. Don't tell me, because I'll read them eventually. But I don't like Kennedy. She just... I mean, her whole stance with the whole Buffy shouldn't be the leader thing, like, oh, absolutely get fucked. But even before that, she just had a few moments. I think she kind of forced a relationship with Willow to happen before Willow was ready, which I wasn't a huge fan of. I just think she's not that interesting. Molly. I can't remember Molly, to be honest. I feel like Molly might have been the one who was kind of tricked into killing herself by the first. Was that Molly? Either way, I can't really remember her, so she didn't have much of a character. F. And while I'm also here, I can just see Rona's here. She can absolutely get fucked. Hate her. Easily my least favourite of the potentials. Which is funny, because when she first appeared, I was like, I really like her. She's a lot of fun. She's a breath of fresh air for her potential. And then she showed her true colours and revealed herself to be the worst person alive in the Buffyverse. So yeah, none of the potentials really did well. Apart from Amanda, I just think she's quite sweet, so I've put her a bit higher. But all of them, just all their chances were kind of soured by the end of it. Robin Wood. Robin. I like Robin. I mean, he's fine. I did like his ties to, like, you know, his mother was a Slayer and the one that Spike killed for the jacket. I really liked him once they paired him with Faith in the last few episodes. I really liked that bond a lot. You know, I think he had an interesting story arc. Don't know if it fully ever really got resolved, the whole Spike thing. So, you know, it's fine. I mean, he was just kind of like the headmaster for most of the season. I think D's probably a decent rating for him. Maybe, no, I think I liked him more than that. I feel like I liked him more than that. I definitely like him more than Lindsay. Yeah, I'll put him in C. I did enjoy him. I thought he was an interesting character in the end. I just like that actor quite a bit. I really like him in Suits. So yeah, there's that. The first evil. I mean, it's an interesting concept for a villain. I think they were cool. Again, not my favourite big bad we had. I did like that they revisited them after Amends. That's fun. I don't know if I ever really got their needs to remove all the Slayers properly. I don't, out of like their plans, like a big bad's plans, I don't know if that was my favourite. So it's kind of just fine. You know, there's not really like a proper face you can put to it by their very nature. So I guess that kind of tricks me into thinking there's not much of a character to them, because their whole deal is like they pretend to look like other people most of the time. So kind of basic. There's not like a physical character I can really think of, so that makes it a bit muddled. But I didn't dislike them being... I thought it was a really neat idea, especially for like the last big bad of the show to be them. But I don't know if I'd put them much higher than that, to be honest. I think all the other big bads... I mean, I prefer it to Adam, but Adam's in the same tier here. But I think all the other big bads are definitely better for me. Right, Uber Vamp. I mean, you're just like a generic villain. You're just like a weird henchman thing. I mean, you're fine, but I think there are other more interesting one-off vampire variants and demons, etc. So I'll just put you in F. You're not my favourite. I mean, it's okay. A unique kind of concept. I like that they changed it up and gave us a different kind of variant, but there's no character there, is there? So fine. I'd have rather them had like Gnarl or something if they were going to do some season 7 monsters in here. Cordelia as Jasmine. Is that too harsh to put F? I mean, it feels like it's technically just the same character, these two, really. But I can see why it's not, because, you know, this kind of gives birth to Jasmine, but they also say that gives birth to itself, so I don't know, it feels like they're just the same. But the Cordelia version of Jasmine, it's just such a waste of Charisma Carpenter and a waste of Cordelia, isn't it? But I like Jasmine. That's a dodgy name. I like Jasmine infinitely more when she's Gina Torres. So I'm just going to leave her there. Like, I'm just still angry that they did that to Charisma Carpenter, so I'm just going to put her in F. But Jasmine as Gina Torres, I very much enjoy, because I enjoy Gina. So yeah, again, not around for that long, but I thought her presence and like what they did with the character when she was born was much more interesting. I do wish they'd done that sooner. So whereabouts should we put you? Again, up there with a decent villain. But I do think Holtz is a better villain in my opinion. But I think I'll put them in the same tier, probably, as that. Gwen, lovely Gwen. She's only around for a couple of episodes, but I really liked her. I really liked them pairing her with Gunn. It's a shame they never explored it because we never saw her again. That I can recall. But yeah, I like the idea like she wants to remove herself from powers so that she can like touch people and everything. I thought that was an interesting idea. And yeah, I thought, you know, the different kind of vibes she brought, her interactions with some of the Team Angel, I thought were a bit unique and interesting. I think C is fair enough for her as well. Nothing like super interesting to me, but I definitely, you know, prefer it to probably all of these guys. And then I guess last but not least, since there's two Clems, we have the Beast, generic punchable villain, I guess, from early season 4. Again, not much to him, but I didn't actually dislike him. I think the idea of Jasmine's much better than just, you know, her henchman. I can't even remember what the Beast was there for and what it was trying to do. So I'll just put it in here. I didn't dislike it. I think it's a cool design stuff. It's nice to have like a physical threat as like almost the calm before the storm that was a seemingly more innocent looking woman who's actually very devious. So I think that will do. I'm actually quite sad that there wasn't an Illyria here. But there you go. What can you do? But yeah, I think I would put Illyria in B if there was a Illyria thing, she'd be in B. So there you go, folks. I think that is going to be my ranking. I've already talked at length about everything. So let's just slowly scroll through it all, if I can. I don't know where I am in terms of like the document, so just going to scroll through it all so you can see everything. There you go. There they all are. That's my ranking. Subject to change, of course, as everything is once I like rewatch things and maybe remember things about characters that I'd forgotten, and that might affect my rankings for better or worse. But just off the top of my head now, remembering what I remember, knowing what I know, those are going to be my my definitive rankings for now. But again, the only characters that I dislike, and I mean dislike as in, you know, they're either boring or you're supposed to dislike them, so you can kind of appreciate that some of them that are meant to be disliked are in F. You know, they are like, please go away. But honestly, E onwards are characters that I do like, but there's just obviously some that I love, which are these guys. Apologies that this video was 2,000 years long. I did not expect it to be this long. I imagine I would have posted this in probably 2 parts, maybe even 3. Depends how it all works out. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Let me know, you know, where some of the characters would rank for you. It might take you a while to tell me where they all would rank for you, because there are a lot more characters in this than I thought. But, you know, I think they covered a pretty decent range of characters. I think the only notable absence for me that I can think of off the top of my head is Illyria. I think it's a shame that she wasn't there. And there certainly would have been others that I can think of that I'd have put in before people like the Beast or Uber Vamp. But, you know, it's fine. So yeah, that's kind of where I would rank some of these characters at the moment. And I hope you enjoyed it. It was cool to kind of revisit some of these characters. Some of them talking about at great length in my Angel Season 5 review. And obviously when we do like rewatches of older episodes of the Buffyverse, I'm sure I'll talk about a lot of these guys as well. But that is going to be everything for now. Hope you enjoyed the ranking. Let me know if there's any other rankings you'd want me to do for maybe other TV shows, characters, or even other Buffyverse, you know. I could rank seasons, I could rank episodes. Let me know what you would like to see. And I'll see if there's a tier list thing out there for them. But yeah, I will put a link in the description to this list so you can try it out for yourself and maybe, you know, send them my way if you're on like Twitter or something. I think you can like save them as a picture. So, you know, tweet me and let me see how our rankings compare. But yeah, that is going to be everything for now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.